kind of anybody's tournament at this point. All teams want to give it their all.
Joey Wright, John Camosa, and Clutch Sports Media live from Normal Community High School. John, we didn't have audio there for the first couple of moments of the game. Didn't have our scoreboard graphic either.
Oh, I was just talking to myself. Okay.
Worked through our technical difficulties, folks. We apologize, but glad to be in with you. And we didn't miss much those first couple of minutes. It's Normal West leading 3-2. And we're still...
Recap what was said, though. This talked about Normal West and Centennial. Both got a lot of size. Going to see a battle down low with Jack Young and Corey Walker on the other side for the Wildcats. Jack Young for the Chargers, but both teams very well balanced, like to get it inside, but also shoot that three ball, as we saw from Webb here for the Wildcats.
Webb has the Wildcats' only 3 points, and down low working it is David Labey for Centennial. Labey was off, but cleaning it up is Amarion Parker, and Parker gets the basket to go and one.
Kind of a tough sequence there. Neither Centennial couldn't find the bucket, and just a last tip in there from Parker. I expect to see Joey a really fierce rebounding battle tonight. I think we're going to definitely see that. Both teams pretty physical.
Yeah, one of the things that we highlighted there at the top of the show as we were working through some technical difficulties was the matchup. Centennial's a defensive-oriented team, and Normal West has a ton of size down low. Here's Parker. Parker with a nice find and a nice finish from Jack Young Jr. almost. Young was off, but that low post is going to be a topic of conversation all evening long.
Yeah, it certainly is. And for those not here, I mean, obviously there's nobody here with no fans, but even on screen you can see how big Corey Walker is as a player, his size, his presence down there, and same with Jack Young. And even Amarion Parker, only 6 foot, but he plays as a post player. You saw him clean up his board there just a minute ago.
Keep it right here at our first mask timeout of the game. So, John, we'll recap those first couple of moments, and as we said, it was kind of a slow start for both sides. It's currently a 5-3 lead for Centennial. Centennial in blue and Normal West in black this evening. A rare color-on-color matchup. You don't see this very often. This is a neutral site game for both teams. It's the first round of the Big 12 tournament. Winner will advance to play Peoria Notre Dame tomorrow night.
And for those watching, too, at home, thanks again for joining us. But you'd say Normal Community High School, and I'd say it looks a little different. That's because we're in their West gym, one of their smaller gyms. Potentially could see that gym later this week in the semifinal title game, but they do have a nice one here at Normal Community.
They do. A good-sized school, Normal Community, a 4A school. They've got the large gym. They've got the small gym, which is where we're at here. They've also got, looks like a volleyball practice facility sort of thing right next door, a practice gym, if you will. Centennial off, and Normal Community, or West, I should say, will look for the lead. Down by 2 early on. And a 3 on the way, and in, count that one, for Nick Rediger. Nick Rediger, a big 3. And just like that, West is ahead by 1.
Talked about Corey Walker being a presence inside. Hasn't scored, a couple baskets rimmed out for him, and seen only 2 threes from the Wildcats to start.
Centennial, meanwhile, will try to attack down low, and we'll see a lot of Amarion Parker down there this evening. He was off the mark there, and Luis Torre for West tries to spark something, but instead a whistle, and free throws coming up for Torre. Torre, a 6-foot senior guard. And kind of a change of pace there for West, John. You know, we've seen the perimeter game a big part of their attack early on, trying to go inside there, and you like the change of pace. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't get it to quite work out.
Yeah, like you said, we're gonna see a lot of that inside look tonight. Going off a couple games that we see here on Monday when Normal West played Bloomington Central Catholic. 15 points, 8 rebounds from Max Zebarth. Then we saw Corey Walker, the Western Michigan commit, with 17 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. So your big men are very well balanced here.
They are very well balanced, and they are big. 6'5" is Zebarth, and 6'7" is Walker. But Parker, or pardon me, that was Jack Young for Centennial. Two sides of the same coin. They've both been big down low, tied up at 7. And we have a Jordan Cherry, short 2, that doesn't find the twine. Normal West entered this one 4-6, Centennial 5-5, a very even matchup when you look at the record. But John, both these teams, they've won some big ones, they've lost some big ones this season. Walker off the mark on the 3. Had a nice conversation with Jim Madsen, WEEK, of course, longtime sports anchor before this one, and that was how that conversation went on Normal West. Kind of very streaky, very up and down. Played very well against Peoria Notre Dame earlier this season, ultimately fell in the late stages of that one. And speaking of one, how about an and one from Jack Young Jr.?
That's one player. I might have touched on that earlier in the broadcast had we not, or had we had audio. Just to recap, Jack Young was so good in that Ridgewoods game that we saw there in their win over the Knights. That do-it-all player. That team was clicking on all cylinders that night. And like you said, Normal West and Centennial, you never kind of know which team you're going to get night in and night out. And both teams off to a little bit of a slower start to see if they could start really putting it all together.
Got to like Centennial's chances under the direction of longtime head coach Tim Lavin. Lavin has been at Centennial for a long time, of course, dating back to the end of the last millennium. He's won a state championship, Centennial, 2009 season with Ravante Rice. Meanwhile, for Normal West, the head coach, Edward Haferman, in his second season, and Haferman watches his star Walker go up and drop one in with contact. So Corey Walker off to a hot start this evening.
And Joey, when he finds his footing inside like that, that's hard to stop him, especially with that frame. 6'7", got a lot of size on him, and when he asserts himself down low, it's tough to go up against.
Completes the and one, and not a lot you can do with a player of Walker's size. He's 6'7", and don't have his weight listed, but obviously he's going to play football at the Division I level in the MAC. He's very well built, as you can see, well-rounded. Makes things tough. Centennial looking for the lead. They led early. It's Rediger, pardon me. That would be McAboo for Centennial, and he's guarded by Rediger. Rediger forces it out of bounds, and they will say it was last touched by Travis McAboo. McAboo, a name you've heard a lot if you followed Centennial basketball over the years. Tommy McAboo, of course, played for the Chargers. Was always a big piece of those Chargers varsity lineups. Travis McAboo, a senior in his own right now, and he will be a big piece of the conversation at guard. Walker catches the pass, and Johnny was immediately fouled on the floor.
And it's the game we kind of expected right out of the gate here. Both teams playing back and forth. Well balanced on both sides. Got some perimeter shooters. Got that side inside. Could be a good game, Joey.
Certainly will be. A timeout called, and this will go in as what looks like a full timeout. Get you caught up on the action here. It's 10-10 with 2 minutes and a second left in the first quarter, and we will take this time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by Uffring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uffring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UffringWeston.com today. Tonight's coverage is also brought to you by Uffring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus, save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UffringNissan.com today. As we get back to the action there, we saw a quick inbound and a subsequent dead ball. And Torre will inbound then again for West. It's It's been an evenly contested game thus far, out of bounds, and that one will favor Centennial.
See if Centennial can get something going on this possession. I think that kind of speaks volumes for both teams. Joey, that defensive effort hasn't really allowed too much inside for either team, and talk about that physicality, which we're certainly seeing here early on. Hard fall there for Parker and Walker.
Yeah, as we talk about that physicality, and Parker hit the floor hard, as did Walker. I think Walker had a bit of an easier fall, but Parker, who was quick to hit the floor there, kind of did a push-up and got back up, so it looks like he'll grit through this. Good to see both players okay. It's Walker inbounds, and the Wildcats will hurry things up here, or, well, quite the opposite of that, as Centennial forces him to slow it down a bit.
Centennial, too, we saw that in that Richwoods game, which I'll use that as kind of my go-to because that was the only time we saw Centennial, but their defense was smothering that game, too, and just really pushed it in transition. Centennial, when they really kind of find their balance, you know, as a team, be very dangerous, and definitely in talks of, you know, making a run. Both these teams could make a run, just depending on who wins.
Downloaded Jack Young Jr., and Jr. drops it in. Colin Likas at the News Gazette over in Champaign has been big and kind of helping us out with a little context of Centennial and how they play, and that's exactly what he and I talked about, is this defense that Centennial plays. Defense didn't have much of an answer for Corey Walker there, but Centennial, John, they're going to want this game in the 40s or 50s. You know, if it's a shootout, I think they'll probably struggle. That's kind of how that conversation went. And right now they're playing to the pace of Normal West.
Yeah, and this is, you know, talking about 40s, 50s, slower start as you would expect, and kind of suits them a little bit.
Right now it's a nice finish on a nice drive. Conley D gives the Chargers a 4-point lead. Double teamed, loose ball, out of bounds. And that will go to Centennial, John. So Centennial, or at least that was the initial call here. The officials are going to talk it over, so we'll update you on that in a second. But at least initially, it looks as though Centennial will have a chance on the inbound. And they will. Conley D to nope, it won't be Conley D inbounding. It's still Centennial's ball. Warren inbounds. Warren goes quick to Parker. Parker spinning, wants a shot. He's fouled with 0.3 of a second left. We'll see if they called that on the shot or the floor.
And if in result that is a shooting foul, that is not what you would want if you're Coach Edward Haferman in Normal West. And it looks like it's going to be a free throw, or free throws, Joey, and with 0.3, that's tough if he can knock these down.
We'll call that on the shot indeed. 3 free throws coming up for Parker. And the senior forward's first is in. 0.3 of a second left, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. See if West has anything after the next 2 free throws. Second one off the mark, and John, we have to be pretty quiet on these free throws. Of course, no spectators here in the small gym at NCHS. You can hear a pin drop as the third one drops in, and West will not want a shot. And that's how the first quarter ends. It ends with the Chargers ahead by 6. If you like multiples of 3, this is a good one. 18-12, 3 quarters to play.
Joey, and you just mentioned on those free throws why we take that dead pause. Like you said, you could hear a pin drop, and I think that it's a little even more distracting now that we're on the floor. I think they can hear us right there. You know, usually as opposed to us being in the bleachers, we got that ground level view tonight.
We are right on top of it. We'll take this break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. By Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra, plus save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit upbringnissan.net today. And by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road in Peoria. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. Jaguar Land Rover Peoria.com. Joey Wright, John Camosa, and the entire Clutch Sports Media team in with you from Normal, Illinois tonight. This is the second game of the opening round of the Big 12 tournament. Centennial and Normal West going at it. The winner draws Peoria Notre Dame tomorrow at 4. We'll also have that one for you on ClutchSportsIL.com, exclusively on ClutchSportsIL.com, and our YouTube channel, I may add. Centennial looking to build an early 6-point lead.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that triple header tomorrow, Joey. Should be some great games in store. A chance to see Peoria Notre Dame, Manual, two of our local teams.
It's going to be a fun day of basketball. Starts at 4 on ClutchSportsIL.com. An early turnover. And John, of course, it's Centennial up by 6 right now, but far too early to draw a conclusion on who we are going to see tomorrow of these two teams. It's going to be a tightly contested game to the very end.
Certainly is.
Jonathan Edmondson for Normal West. Now over to Zebarth, and Max Zebarth loses it. Out of bounds. They will say it was last touched by Zebarth, who scored 15 points against Bloomington Central Catholic on Monday. And the Chargers take over. John, you've got to figure that the Wildcats can't let the Chargers get too far ahead early on. There's a nice finish from David Labey, cleans up the miss.
No, and Joey, like you said, once Centennial grabs that big lead, that's a team that can keep piling it on. So if you're Normal West, you want to put a halt to that, and there's a 3.
And they're on their way to putting a halt to that. Jamarcus Webb, who scored the initial points for Normal West this evening, opened the Wildcats scoring with a 3, knocks in a big one right there. It's Warren for Centennial, now McAboo up top. And here's a deep 2 from Warren. Off the back iron, and Normal West will use this as an opportunity to push the pace. Stopping and taking it up. A little bit short was Colton Cassidy. Haven't called Cassidy's name a ton tonight. Centennial down low. It was nearly an offensive rebound for McAboo. And John, if you're Centennial, you've got to like what you've done on the offensive boards thus far this evening, as the Chargers will bring in Sean Lacey and Corey Walker returns for Normal West.
I agree. They've definitely been attacking the boards and getting those offensive rebounds and putbacks. I think Tim Lavin likes what he sees with them doing that and hold on to that 5-point lead to see how this second quarter plays out.
Parker to Warren up top, and Warren wants the 3. He's short on that. And there's a defensive rebound for Normal West. Jonathan Edmondson looking for an option down low, and another feed down low, but losing it on his way up was Zebarth. And they'll say that was out of bounds and last touched by Centennial. Inbounded, and a quick 3 coming up for West, and dropping it in is Cassidy. Colton Cassidy, a big 3, and it's a 2-point game.
How about that left side corner, Joey? Lined them from over there, 3 different guys. Seems to be the hot spot tonight for the Wildcats.
Wildcats are cooking from that near corner. Here's Centennial trying to respond. Their lead is as narrow as it's been in a couple minutes, and Normal West will have an opportunity, John Camosa, to take the lead on this ensuing possession. Into the game is Nick Rediger.
Credit that to those 2 threes that cut into that deficit and forcing a turnover. Like you said, Joey, how do you put a stop to that? And Normal West right back in it with the chance to tie or take the lead.
Football pass from a football player. Walker finds Edmondson. And it goes back to Walker, and Walker spinning, nearly scoring. And he'll have a chance to earn those 2 points at the stripe.
Walker's got some really nice post moves, Joey. Gets that spin and kind of gets right by him, and just couldn't get it to fall there, but a chance to Get those 2 at the line.
First one is in. Second one could tie it. Walker, of course, committed to play tight end for Western Michigan, the MAC Power, the Broncos. May play some D-end, though, too. Kind of was recruited, right, as kind of that hybrid sort of player who can do a lot for you.
Certainly has the size to be both.
Centennial floating it up, and there's a block from Walker, but blocked right back into the hands of David Labey. And Labey increases that Chargers lead back to 3. But if you're just joining us, Normal West has been threatening here in the last couple of minutes. This will take us to our mask timeout, and we'll recap the last couple of minutes for you after we take this time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. By Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus, save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. In Peoria, take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. Jaguar Land Rover Peoria. Joey Wright, John Camosa, and the entire Clutch Sports Media team in with you. We're on the scene.
Yep.
Folks, I apologize, John. We had a referee come up and share a nice light moment with us there. and a nice word for our officials in the IHSA this winter. You know, they're out on the front lines, a lot of games and a lot of nights. Official came over to us and he said, you're on the front lines. You know, the folks at ESPN and some of the larger networks, they do those college basketball games remotely. No such remote productions for Clutch Sports Media this season.
Right in the action.
That's right.
Haven't missed a beat.
Westbound's on Colton Cassidy's first team 7.
But, you know, going to that topic, you know, ESPN and some of those home studios are pretty fancy. Getting to call a game from your basement's not so bad.
It's not so bad at all, no, and I'm a big proponent. So we'll hold that thought for the free throw of the remote broadcast. And yeah, no problem at all. You know, you look at those top ESPN guys, and, you know, they're nice and comfy. You can have dinner with the family and roll down and call a college basketball game.
Yeah,
pretty good gig to me.
One who I just saw call a game remotely the other night. I can't remember exactly which game that was. I want to say Bill Walton was calling a game, though, and Larry and I brought that up yesterday. He was calling it in his remote home, and Larry said, how would you like to call a game with Bill Walton? You know, he'd probably ask you something like, have you ever been to the Grand Canyon during a broadcast? Always draws a little off topic during a game.
He certainly does. We can get there, but it takes the right situation. And off on the 3 is Cassidy. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon? It's probably a pretty mild Bill Walton reference with where he can take a broadcast.
Oh, yeah. He could take a game that's, you know, close game down to the wire and somehow be talking about something completely different.
And it's Bill Walton,
yeah.
Right? So you go with it and you enjoy the ride. And here's a ride from Warren that's just short. And that's how you tie it back into the game. West pushing it ahead. Here's Walker again. Walker, a nice pop outside to Cassidy. And it's Walker. Now back up to Cassidy, and Normal West is going to settle for a 3 here. It's on the way and in from the big man, Corey Walker, from the corner. And Walker has had a great first half for Normal West.
Tell every time Walker gets that ball behind the arc, does that little jab step, then corrals it, and got a nice stroke for a 6'7" forward.
Certainly does, coming right towards us. But McAboo keeps it in play, and McAboo with an attempt down low to find Jack Young, and Jack Young Jr. 2 attempts, 2 misses, but it's back in the hands of Parker. Marion Parker has been a big part of this Chargers offense. West pushing, West trying with Edmondson, and it's a nice find up top. But Webb couldn't center it up, and Edmondson can't quite clean it up. Still loose, and now that possession, and that sequence, I should say, finally ends with a foul. And that will be, as we await for the subs to come in, the 6th such foul against Centennial to this point in the half. 7 for Normal West, so we're in the bonus the rest of the way.
A really nice sequence of ball movement there from Normal West, just couldn't get that 3 to fall.
It's Parker, and Parker.
Miscommunication there. That's right next to our camera guy, John Michael.
John Michael's gonna go get it. Tosses it in. Landed on some wrestling mats that are nestled right next to our camera. He was looking, I think, there for Rediger or Isaac Demosthenes. But a bit of a miscommunication, as you said. John, it's early yet, of course. We're 2.5 minutes removed from halftime, but those little mistakes and those little turnovers, not saying that that one will be, but they could be, as we move forward, critical, and the game could come down to those.
Yeah, and especially the way it's going, Joey. It's close, and I expect we are going to see it back and forth to close out this second quarter. But like you said, those things could come back to bite you, and I doubt it'll be off that one play, but certainly in a postseason type game, you want to clean up those mental mistakes.
All the way to the rack is Walker, and Walker was fouled. 2 free throws are coming his way. Stay with us. After the halftime break is when we'll get you the updated scoring statistics and kind of reflect on who did exactly what in the first half. So we'll have those coming up for you. Free throw is on the way and in from Walker.
Got to think that it's pretty well balanced on both sides. Seen some Marion Parker, Jack Young, Corey Walker here for Normal West.
Seen some Jamarcus Webb as well, has been key factor for the Wildcats. If you've just joined us recently, Normal West trailed by 6 entering the second quarter. That was an 18-12 lead for Centennial. Normal West has cut into that lead, but they have not tied it or taken the lead. It's been a pretty back and forth second quarter with just a little more Normal West scoring. And Normal West going for the lead, and a nice block. DeAndre Warren forces that one out of bounds. 6'1" junior guard. Pardon me, they'll call a foul on that. So, bit of a late whistle, late call, but that will send Edmondson to the stripe, where his first free throw is in.
And Joey, going up and down this roster, just giving it a quick glance. I see Jalen Bryson on the bench for Centennial. You remember how big of a factor he was this 6'9" frame in that Richwoods game. So I want to speculate. Not sure why he didn't travel with the team tonight.
He is talking about Terry, he is a big-time player. Or pardon me, Bryson. Bryson, a big-time player for this Chargers team. Haven't seen Khalil Terry either, though. Didn't see him in the Richwoods game. Terry, a transfer from Central this season for Centennial. So Normal West will inbound. They have a 1-point lead, 25-24.
Centennial likes to put that pressure on in the backcourt. Normal West having a tough time, just gets it up.
Here is Walker, tries to go to the rack, didn't get the roll, but it rolls back to West, and the second attempt from Edmondson is off, and a football pass. Here is a rise up and score for McAboo.
You always got to expect somebody's out there running for Centennial. They like to push it, and really nice awareness there and heads-up play from Jack Young to get that rebound, corral it, and throw it down court for an easy layup.
Rediger a find there. He was looking for Kozlovsky. Kozlovsky gets it to Walker, who gets it to the corner. Edmondson's 3 was off. So, John, now we get into this kind of late quarter territory, late half territory. Centennial looks, though, like they will keep the offense in motion, but now they slow it down a little bit.
I think could see the Chargers play for the last shot here. I think Coach Tim Lavin wants him to get a good set to run.
They have a 1-point lead. Normal West nearly gets the steal from Edmondson. We're under 6 seconds. To the corner and Warren pulling up. It's a 3, was off the mark, and the rebound and the tip, no dice.
Tim Lavin not too happy with that last play. He said he had somebody open down low. There's miscommunication there again. Joey, opportunity to add on to that lead. Centennial couldn't come away with the basket. But close game so far, and C really comes out hot to start the third quarter.
Yeah, the third quarter is coming up on us. It's a 26-25 lead for Centennial. You see the Chargers there walking towards the locker room. They have a 1-point lead, but you can tell they want a little bit more. We'll see if they can get that in the second half. We'll step away for the halftime break here in just a second. But first, John, and I asked you this last game when we saw Peoria defeat Bloomington. You know, we don't have access to the live scoring and things like that here, so we'll get those updated statistics for you at the start of the third quarter. But if you had to take a guess, who would you say is leading Centennial or West in scoring?
I want to say for Normal West, it's been Corey Parker. You know, a little tough start early on, but then, you know, kind of asserted his dominance down low, and that spin move is so effective and really can get to the basket and draw contact. And very good free throw shooter there, knocking him down for the Wildcats. And for Centennial, we've seen a little Marion Parker, but I think Jack Young has definitely picked it up in the scoring column. Could be between those two guys.
Certainly would be you get a good chance at having that correct. You were pretty on it when I asked that question. We checked it last time, so we'll test your record here. In a couple of moments, we'll step away for halftime. Joey Wright, John Camosa, Josh Schwab, Francisco Alonso, and John Michael in with you, the Clutch Sports Media team. Ready for the second half. You've got the countdown to the third quarter at the bottom of your screen. Stay with us. Centennial ahead of Normal West, 26-25 at halftime. From Normal Community High School in Normal, Illinois, Clutch Sports Media proud to have the call of tonight's opening round, Big 12 tournament game. Centennial and Normal West going at it. Centennial with a 1-point lead entering the third quarter, and the third quarter is now underway. Glad you're with us. Centennial looks to build on this lead, and we'll get you a couple of updating scoring totals in just a minute. A couple of updated scoring totals, that is, as Travis McAboo puts the Chargers ahead by 3. John, it's Amarion Parker and Jack Young Jr. with 9 points for Centennial, and Normal West is led by 10 points thus far from Corey Walker.
Yeah, Joey, as you would kind of expect, Corey Walker, a force for Normal West, coming out as the leading scorer at the break, and Marion Parker and Jack Young just so versatile, do a lot for the Chargers, and it's no surprise these two are tied for the scoring lead.
Certainly isn't. We've seen Centennial balanced around those two. Normal West, the inbound. If you are just joining us, it's Corey Walker turning it over. Centennial started out with the hotter hand, and an interesting play there as Marion Parker increases his total to 11. Centennial started out with the hotter hand early. They led at the end of the first quarter, 18-12, and Normal West chipped into that lead, actually took the lead late in the second quarter, but Centennial then pulled back ahead. They lead by 5 right now. First foul of the half.
Max Zebarth limping a little bit on that play. Took a hard contact there into the basket. Hope he's to be okay. Still moving.
Deep 2 coming, and Centennial drops that in. DeAndre Warren. Warren having a nice performance to this point.
Joey, I don't know if we mentioned or if you opened up the broadcast or not being audio, might not have heard it, but Centennial defeated Normal West 66-40 when they faced each other on the 20th of February.
That's right.
See if Normal West can keep it a closer game than that first meeting.
That was one of Centennial's 5 wins to this point. Pass inside to Young, and Young is fouled. And if you were with us those opening moments of the broadcast, we had a little technical problem. Not even a problem so much as just sort of didn't have everything right on the same page. Apologize for that. Glad you've stuck with us in what has been a good one thus far. I hope you stuck with us because you've seen a good game since. Trey Warren drops it in. And Trey Warren, John, is out to a hot start here to start the third quarter.
Yeah, and he was so effective in that Ridgewoods game. We saw a lot of that from him. Hit perimeter and outside shots, and Joey, if he can get going around Parker and Jack Young, the Centennial team can really be dangerous.
Rediger to Walker, and Walker. I'll tell you, that was for a player of Walker's size, that was an acrobatic sort of shot there, off balance, deep 2. We've seen Walker step up from beyond the arc and kind of that mid-range game. Key part of what he brings to the table.
Certainly does, and there you go. They go inside with Jack Young at the mismatch. Joey, just like that, 10-point game.
10-point game, a timeout called. Normal West wants a full timeout. They'll get it. Comes with 5:22 left in the third. We'll keep it right here. This has been a great game if you like trees. That is, big men who can get the job done down low. Jack Young Jr. has had now an 11-point performance for Centennial, and that couples nicely with Walker's 10. Normal West is, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think, you talk about, a game if you like trees. I think Centennial's picking up a little bit on, Corey Walker likes to get the ball and really push his weight inside. And you can see he starts at the free throw line, just kind of backs his whole way in. You just saw in that couple possessions ago that Centennial went over and doubled and stripped the ball from him. So if they can kind of figure out his moves, because it's hard to go up and defend him in the air, but if you can get him on the ground and force a turnover. But, yeah, Joey, if they can kind of lock him down and Centennial can still feed it inside, it's going to be tough for them to, not lose this game if they can keep a lead.
For sure. And Centennial, a defensive-minded team. It is in the hands of Walker. Walker will send it away and finds Nick Rediger. And Rediger over to Jonathan Edmondson II, who goes to work and is promptly blocked. Centennial ahead by double digits for the first time this evening. See if they can keep building this lead, and it's pretty easy to do that when you can find a wide open Amarion Parker. Scores his 13th point of the night. It's a 12-point lead for the Chargers.
Keep in mind, you know, winner plays Peoria Notre Dame tomorrow afternoon. Centennial can play like this, or if Normal West can find something and get going. I think if you're Notre Dame, you don't want to overlook a lower seed, higher seed, I should say.
That's exactly right. And we were talking, you know, had a nice conversation with Jim Matson, WEEK sports director out of Peoria. Foul called on the floor there. It's going to be an interesting matchup no matter which one of these teams wins tonight. Both these teams kind of throw some different things at you. Normal West almost beat PND earlier this season, and Centennial brings that kind of defensive-minded attack, different approach. And as they've shown tonight, they can score the ball as well.
We're going to get our mask break here, Joey. It always comes in sort of the inopportune time. We don't really see it coming, even though we know 4 minutes and a quarter is the mask break. It always takes us off guard a little bit.
Certainly does, but it's a great time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. By Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus, save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. JaguarLandRoverPeoria.com. Glad to have Uftring on board tonight and throughout the season. And we won't spend as much time on it as we did last game, but full disclosure, bought my car from Uftring Nissan and currently having a little work done with Uftring Weston. It's been, you know, it was a great car buying experience at Uftring Nissan, and it's in good hands at Uftring Weston. The whole process there, very easy. Really happy to have Uftring on board. First free throw off from Zebarth. Zebarth coming off, as we mentioned earlier, a nice game against BCC on Monday, scored 15 points. Knocks in his second free throw there. A 17-point effort from Jamarcus Webb. Led the Wildcats in that one. That was a 69-68 winner. Corey Walker won it with a last-second layup. Centennial a deep three. Not even, I don't think deep three, as you see there, might have been a little generous, but still a nice find and a nice finish from D, Conley D.
Centennial adding to that score total right now and trying to see if the Wildcats can get something going here.
Trying to create was Colton Cassidy, but it's Zebarth cleaning it up. He's the hero there. Quietly, John, it has become a 14-point lead for Centennial, and they're going to look to make that 16. McAboo will have to earn him at the line, but Travis McAboo, you could tell he found another gear.
Certainly did, and Joey, I think they can do that in kind of a blink of an eye, just run the score up on you. Centennial likes to get out and push it pretty quick, and 14-point lead.
McAboo, the first free throw on the way. It's short. We've talked about this. If you were with us for Peoria High School in Bloomington earlier this evening, you heard us say when we get these free throws, we go a little quieter. That's because there are no fans in attendance. And we are right on top of the action. Second free throw off from McAboo. There's a foul on the floor as Walker tried to drive in. But kind of going off that point about no fans, and you know, we're here at Normal Community High School, a neutral venue for both these teams. I want to thank Normal Community High School and its entire athletic staff, headed by Athletic Director Nick Kierfot, really helping us out and putting this together, Brian Dunphy gets an assist. He kind of helped facilitate this, Peoria High School's AD. Getting us out here, we're here tonight, and we are here tomorrow for a triple header. That one starts at 4 o'clock. Winner of this game has Peoria Notre Dame. An early start, and that'll feed into Manual Champaign Central at 6. And it will be Normal Community and the winner of tonight's Urbana-Danville game. Not sure who won that game as of yet. But we'll have that one for you. Tomorrow is the last leg of a triple header. Walker.
Tough roll there for Walker. See if West can convert off some of these fouls off ball that Centennial's had.
.309 showing on the board. That's the area code for Bloomington Normal. Pass to Walker. Walker couldn't quite corral it, but he got it back. What do you do here if you're Normal West, John? 3 on the way. Well, you probably start by hitting that.
I think every time we say it, you know, they kind of answer our question. But yeah, I mean, you got to keep cutting into this lead, and it's crucial right now that you get a stop. Defense is going to be your best friend right here, especially against Centennial, as talented as they are getting the ball inside.
Centennial tries to answer, and they respond. It's Trey Warren. Who else? Warren has had a big second half. What do you do if you're Normal West? You probably take the 3 from Torrey, but you try to stop that. And a collision down low. A charge, yeah.
Parker taking a charge off the big 6'7" Walker. It's a tall task and gets the job done.
I was just gonna say, you know, you love seeing the grit and the hustle there, and I don't want to sell myself short, but I can honestly say I probably would just let him get to the basket myself.
Yep. But in a win or go home situation,
That's right.
You got to put your body out there.
Centennial will inbound. Don't get me wrong, I'm very competitive, but choose your battles.
Yeah.
But a heads-up charge there in Centennial. We'll use plays like that here as they try to build the lead for good. 14 points. Largest lead of the night for the Chargers, or tied for the largest lead. I believe they've led by 14 at a separate point a moment ago. 3 on the way, make it 17. It's Trey Warren. He's knocked in a couple of 3 balls this half. 17 points is Peoria's largest lead.
And how about Warren, Joey? I mean, saw that 2 consecutive threes, but man, when he's clicking, Centennial team could definitely pose a threat for potentially Notre Dame tomorrow.
Certainly could. 17 points, Centennial's largest lead, and 2 free throws coming up from Z-Bar.
Normal West will want to try to pull itself out of this funk with these free throws.
It is a 24 to make that a 24. Now I've got to readjust the numbers in my head. 24 for Centennial to start the second half against just 9 for West. It's been a dominant second half for the Chargers, third quarter specifically. And it is a 15-point game.
I think they're wanting to put a little full court pressure on them, try to force some turnovers.
Trey Warren will run the show for the Chargers. He's in trouble. Luckily, he has McAboo to bail him out. Luckily for Centennial's sake, that is. Down low, stepping back and saying hello is Sean Lacey. Haven't called Sean Lacey's name a ton this evening. West trying to respond. And boy, John, they've been trying to respond this entire second half.
Yeah, they certainly have. Just really haven't had an answer.
3 just off the mark, and cleaning it up is Jesse Kozlovsky, the junior guard. Kozlovsky has made now a couple of plays this evening. And a feed and a find and a score, Travis McAboo. Under a minute to play in the third, and a physical play there. Colliding Demosthenes. That looked like McAboo. Normal West will maintain possession, and it's Demosthenes, quick to push it ahead. John, what's the medicine here for Normal West as they look to end the third?
Yeah, you got to get a score. You got to get a stop on the other end, because even when they do find a basket, Centennial comes back and responds once, if not 2 times. And Joey, I feel like we're watching a completely different game. It looked very close in the first half, but Centennial really came out firing in the second half, and now holding on to a big lead and kind of in the driver's seat right now.
And a score counted for Colton Cassidy, so there's something. Centennial in no hurry. They will now increase the pace a little bit. Normal West went for the steal, didn't get it, and it's Warren tossing one off the foot of Demosthenes, so it's off of Isaac Demosthenes, and Centennial will run a set here, just under 15 seconds to play. They'll bring in a sub-Normal West will, that is. Luis Torre is back in, and Jordan Cherry will jog to the bench. And that was a high pass, sets up a chance for West. Driving and looking to go all the way, and doing so is Kozlovsky.
He's looking for a foul there too. But
Centennial with 2-1, and I don't think that McAboo realized how much time was left on the clock. Didn't get a shot up in time, and that's how our third quarter of play comes to a close. 54-41 for Centennial, and great opportunity to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. Also by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra, plus save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. JaguarLandRoverPeoria.com. Joey Wright with John Camosa, Francisco Alonso, John Michael, and Josh Schwam, the entire Clutch Sports Media team. Glad to have you with us this evening. It's 54-41 favoring Centennial, but John, quietly, it's a 13-point game. Kind of felt, I think, like a bigger deficit there midway through the third, but with a couple stops and a couple scores, Normal West is right back on the doorstep.
yeah, they certainly are, and they're definitely going to want a basket to start this fourth quarter on this possession.
Here's West opening the fourth quarter. We're in our final frame, pulling up a deep three and a score from Colton Cassidy. John, this West team was down by 13 at halftime against Notre Dame earlier this season. Nearly came back and won that. Fell just a little bit short. It's a 10-point game, still a 10-point game as Jack Young Jr. tries to finish, and he'll have to earn them at the charity stripe.
He's a player you're going to contain, which is hard to do, Joey, but Jack Young back in the lineup in this fourth quarter, and you saw there, just got his own offensive rebound twice. Be tough for Normal West to contain unless Corey Walker gets back in there. Did he foul? I don't think he fouled out, did he?
Don't believe he did. Looks like he's just on the bench right now and enjoying a couple of moments off. Back to a 12-point game. And it's Edmondson for West. Edmondson stops and looks for Cassidy. Cassidy finds the twine again. Another big three from Colton Cassidy.
Didn't call his name much early, but calling it a lot now. And they're going to need every one of those threes.
Colton Cassidy with 6 big points to start the fourth quarter. And we are looking in the face a 9-point game.
A lot of fight being shown in the Wildcats right now.
And the Wildcats force a turnover. It's Demosthenes. Isaac Demosthenes driving, stopping, looking. 3 on the way for West. Again, the third one of the quarter. It's Jesse Kozlovsky, who has stepped up and had a big second half. His first 3 of the frame. And it's a 6-point game, John Camosa.
And just like that, all the momentum back on Normal West side. 3 big threes. And Joey, if you're Centennial, Tim Lavin not happy with that last couple of possessions, what do you say in a timeout?
You know, it could be as simple as just get back to the basics, right? Centennial started this game out pretty consistently, didn't have any huge runs, but they looked good. They kind of matched Normal West after they got out to an early 6-point lead. And then in the second half, that's when they mounted their run, went ahead by as many as 17. Midway point of the third quarter. So I think they've just got to get back to what they were doing at that point. It was the defense for Centennial that really keyed that third quarter. At one point, they were on a 24-9 run. So it's got to start with defense, and I think they've got to limit the perimeter, right? That's where Normal West has scored 9 points in the fourth.
Yeah. And Joe, you and I have called a lot of close games back and forth this year, and this certainly has the feel right now like we could have another good finish if Normal West can keep up what they're doing right now.
It absolutely does. We've seen some good ones. The 3-overtime thriller between Metamora and Dunlap earlier this season. Good one between Washington and Morton. Metamora and Washington played a good one. And the latest chapter could be Centennial and Normal West.
And Joey, Normal West, you could tell drastically they've really turned up that defensive pressure. See a lot of energy coming out of them right now, and I think they picked a good time to do it.
McAboo for Centennial. The defensive pressure palpable. It's a block from Demosthenes, and he'll run the show. He'll look off, and in the corner is Torres keeping it in. Cassidy drives. He is blocked. McAboo the rebound, and a quick foul. Isaac Demosthenes came soaring in late, and he'll get called for the foul. So Centennial will inbound, and we'll recap the foul situation for you just briefly. 6 fouls for Centennial and 5 for Normal West. So the bonus is fast approaching. If Centennial fouls one more time, West is looking at free throws, at least one of them. Down low and a foul there. The 6th such for Normal West. That'll put Jack Young at the free throw line.
Looks like Corey Walker is going to check back in, as well as Max Zebarth. And Joey, this, going back to Monday's game with Wilmington Central Catholic for the Wildcats, those guys were big inside. And I think in this last 6 minutes, you're going to want those big guys really stepping up inside tonight.
Absolutely, and Zebarth and Walker a combined 13-1, 13 feet and an inch. Walker, a Division I football commit. He's going to play for Western Michigan next year for West. Centennial has had great output from the likes of Jack Young Jr.
A little bit of a shorts discrepancy there, Joey. I don't think refs, he was talking to Max Zebarth under the basket. I don't think they like when they fold their shorts. Have the tag flap showing. A lot of Normal West players wear it that way. So, because I remember going back to last year, sitting courtside, seeing a couple games where refs told them to tuck that back in, and I don't know why exactly, but
I would think, and more on that in a second as Zebarth drives. He's fouled and the basket. And he has a chance to make this a 3-point game. One more coming from Zebarth. Tag flapping in the wind. I would venture to say maybe that's a safety concern. You could maybe grab that, and
you're right.
Would be my instinct, but with Zebarth at the line for one more, I would think if you do grab hold of that, it would rip off, if anything, but
yep,
that would be my best theory.
And Joey, look at this 3-point game now.
Yeah, it
really turned it on here late.
It has closed in a hurry, and West could tie it with a stop and a 3.
Peoria Notre Dame, Coach Tom Locker, if you're not watching already, that'll be a good time to tune in. Who do you want to play?
Wouldn't want to play either of these schools with the intensity they've shown, especially West here in the fourth quarter. They were down by as many as 17 in the third. They battled it back to 3, but they're still a little bit away. It's McAboo trying to drive. He drives and can't get it to fall. It was good defense, but Walker hits the ground.
They got the timeout right at the last second, about to strip that ball from Corey Walker, and good timeout there for Edward Hafferman.
It'll be a quick 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it right here. And how about Walker to hold the ball there until the timeout, John? A lot of times when you're on the floor like that, you'll get called for the travel pretty quick. That's what the officials watch for. Was able to wait and get the timeout. And a quick 30-second timeout by Normal West could be the most pivotal timeout of the game, because that locks in possession. They can go down and get any kind of basket, but you think maybe if 3 specifically tie it up, could be a tough last 5 minutes for Centennial with the momentum squarely on West's side.
It certainly could.
But you don't want to oversell it. Centennial has controlled the game for, well, much of the game. Normal West had their last lead very late in the second half, but it was a big start, or late in the second quarter, I should say, but it was a big start to the game for Centennial and a big third quarter. Turning around is Zebarth. Zebarth is blocked. Gets it blocked by David Labey. David Labey, a 6'4" presence for this Chargers squad. And the Chargers spinning and looking to float one in is Trey Warren, and Trey Warren does just that. He was big during that 24-9 run. And whatever it ultimately swelled to, Trey Warren was, in growing the Chargers' lead. West needs a basket here. Stopping, not popping, is Edmondson, but an offensive rebound. They'll wave off the basket. And that'll be a foul on the floor, I believe, yes. But free throw's coming. An interesting call there.
Certainly was. It looked like he had him in the air, but referees thought otherwise.
Free throws coming after the mask timeout. We will take this pause to remind you tonight's coverage is brought to you by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. Also by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new Nissan 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus save time and buy your car, 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. Jaguar Land Rover Peoria.com. And we are in Normal Community, or we are at Normal Community High School tonight for a first round matchup in the Big 12 tournament. Normal West and Centennial. Centennial with a 58-53 advantage. If you're just joining us, we've got a good last 4-12 in store for you. Max Zebarth is at the line in the 1-and-1 bonus. Last foul was called on the floor. And his first free throw on the 1-and-1 is in. So make it a double.
Definitely setting up for a good finish here, Joey.
Zebarth at the line, his second free throw in. It is a 3-point game.
2 free throws, Max
So here's Centennial. Go ahead.
You never want to count Normal West out. You bring up that Notre Dame game. They were down 13, come back and almost win it. The team that you can't really sleep on.
A lot of contact down low and a charge. Normal West will take over. That's a big offensive foul against Centennial, and it goes against Trey Warren, his second. 9th foul for the Chargers. Out of bounds, so going to go right back to Centennial.
Tough break there if you're Normal West. Would have loved to have that possession back. They just couldn't corral it.
Tick under 4, you see on the bottom of your screen.
And Centennial would love to convert on this one.
Centennial looking to increase its lead. Right now it's a 1-point game, or a 1-possession game more accurately. It's McAboo. McAboo over to David Labey. And Labey back up top to Trey Warren. Trey Warren has had a big second half. He's knocked in threes. He's gone down low and made plays there. A drive and a stop. And a foul. And that ought to set up a 1-on-1 situation here for Centennial. It will, and that'll send Amarion Parker to the line. Third foul against Luis Torre. Torre has been involved in a lot of plays, so we'll keep an eye on that. And the first free throw on the way from Parker is in. So John, Normal Community, or Normal West I should say, had a lot of momentum to start the fourth. Made it a 3-point game, but right now the lead is kind of stagnated here. It's been a 3-point game, it's gone back to 5, and so on and so forth.
It's definitely going to be back and forth to finish here. Normal West wanting to try to gain that momentum that they came out and had.
Corey Walker has it. Now it's Colton Cassidy. Cassidy opened this quarter with 2 big threes. And he goes up top to Walker. Walker lost it. Centennial takes over. McAboo pushes ahead. And McAboo floated it in. That was a difficult look. Pass up was tipped by Labey. So Normal West will maintain here with an opportunity to drive and score.
You see Centennial applying that pressure now on defense.
Here's Max Zebarth. Zebarth to the corner. 3 coming up. It's off the mark from Cassidy. Cassidy couldn't recreate the magic there. Stands in a 4-point game. And Centennial, John, you can see they're not in any sort of big hurry.
I think they want to just play conservative with this thin lead that they have. Might slow the tempo down a bit, and there you go.
Walker tried to block McAboo, but McAboo took it up and scored anyways. And a timeout coming here. Tim Lavin wants it. He's got it. And it's a full timeout. A good timeout, I think, from Lavin.
Yeah, I agree. Just to really settle his team down and, you know, let them know they still got the lead. You got 2:21, no shot clock, so you could still play a slow pace. Don't get too flustered from that Normal West pressure. And if you're Edward Hafferman on the other side with Normal West, you want to get back to where you were early in this quarter with that momentum that you were hitting those threes and, you know, playing that defense. And Joey, we really haven't seen that high pressure defense that we saw. It's kind of been a little bit more lax, and Normal West just can't really get it going right now.
They can't. And John, how do you recreate that momentum? You know, only got 2:21 left. Normal West will have the ball out of this timeout. Does that start with threes? Do you take those shots? Do you look to the perimeter, or do you look for maybe a higher percentage look, knowing that maybe sometimes those looks can take a little more time to create?
Yeah, I would say keep trying to pound it inside. I mean, just that will to win, you really got to let your team know that, hey, this is kind of a win-or-go-home situation. Treat it like a postseason game. You know, your season's on the line, and, you know, whatever you can do to get it done, force it inside, draw contact, and get to the free throw line. Yeah, I think you want to look for Walker, you want to look for Zebarth, and see if those two guys can really step up and carry you here. And if those threes are there for Cassidy, you know, rely on those. But as you can see in that last corner 3 from Cassidy, Centennial doing a good job of closing out.
Teams certainly haven't had a hard time getting up for the Big 12 tournament. This is the second game of several we'll see through Saturday. Winner advances to play Peoria Notre Dame tomorrow at 4. Here's Zebarth. Zebarth looking up top to Cassidy. Cassidy will drive. He'll pop it back out. There's the pick. There's the pop. 3 was off from Walker.
Talk about drawing that contact. Seed tried to box out Zebarth and kind of did a good way and keeping his guy out and having somebody else draw a foul on Rediger.
Rediger will go to the line in the 1-and-1. In my view, kind of the ensuing play was obstructed. Referee was in the way, but he draws the foul, and in the bonus, he's at the stripe. Ought to be a double bonus situation, and it is. And as you said, there's the contact. First free throw on the way, and in from Rediger, the senior guard, playing in what he hopes is not his final game in a Normal West Wildcat uniform. A couple of seniors on this team, including Corey Walker and Colton Cassidy. The free throw, I should say, is online, and it is a 4-point game. So, John, it's got to start with a stop, right?
Yeah, it certainly does. And see if Normal West can turn up that pressure a little bit. See if Centennial can try to break it.
It's Warren for Centennial. Edmondson guards. Looks for a screen, has one from Young. And it's Parker trying to create from the corner, has a lane, has a finish. Amarion Parker makes it a 6-point game again, and that could be a very crucial basket. Normal West wants a timeout.
Did a nice job there creating his own shot, and certainly not what you want to see if you're Normal West, and Parker's been so big this game. You really expected nothing less from him.
So we'll reset it for you. 63, we'll try to reset it for you. 63-57 with 1:28 left. Centennial came out of the gates hot. We say they came out of the gates hot. It was a closely contested first quarter that saw them ahead by 6, 18-12 at the end of that frame. Normal West then battled back and really kind of controlled most of the second quarter, but Centennial was able to emerge with a 26-25 lead at the half. And John, then in the third quarter, Centennial came out of the gate strong, and at one point it was a 24-9 run. They led by as many as 17, but then Normal West flipped the switch. They've had the better fourth quarter. That was keyed by a couple of threes from Colton Cassidy and a couple other big plays down the line. Cut into the lead, but it stagnated. They haven't been able to make it a three-point, or it has stalled out at 3 is what I'm trying to get after. They've not been able to cut it any closer than that.
Yeah, this one kind of unravels. Normal West here, now you talked about every bucket counts, and this is a big one, Joey. I think you got to score in this possession if you want to stay in it.
We'll see if they try to do that via a 3 or a 2. They try to go down low, and it's thrown away. Out of bounds it goes. We said earlier, John, those unforced errors could come back in a game like this and prove crucial, and certainly one that could prove crucial there.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see if you're Normal West, and Centennial can kind of play with the clock now and try to run it down.
Parker holding for Centennial. Parker looking and finding Laby. Laby has a lane. He reverses and he finishes. It's an 8-point game. And Normal West tries to respond. It's Cassidy. Cassidy to Edmondson. Now driving is Zebarth. Zebarth in trouble. Back to Cassidy. Cassidy will drive, looks for contact, has the finish. Makes it a 6-point game, and a timeout Normal West. So it's back to a 6-point game, a full timeout for the Wildcats. Head coach Edward Haferman in his second season wants to talk things over. Haferman did lead a 15-19 Wildcats squad to a regional championship 1 year ago. Looking to recapture the magic of that postseason run here this season. But Johnny's got to draw up quite the play here. Centennial's going to have the ball out of the timeout.
Yeah, it's just, you're kind of playing against the clock now and see what they can do, but right now it's in Centennial's favor.
65-59. Glad you're with us on ClutchSportsIL.com. The winner of this game will have Peoria Notre Dame right here in this building tomorrow at 4 p.m. and ClutchSportsIL.com will have that one for you. So mark your calendars for that. Tell your family, tell your friends. That kicks off a triple header tomorrow. That starts at 4 with the winner of this one in PND, and then it's Champaign Central and Manual out of Peoria. That'll be a good one at 6 o'clock. 8 o'clock game, the winner of tonight's Urbana-Danville game and Normal Community. Centennial in control here. They lead by 6, but they throw that one away. And here's a chance for Normal West. They push it ahead, pushing it ahead and kicking to the corner. And it's back in the hands of Corey Walker. Walker kicks to Edmondson, and it's Zebarth. Zebarth looks from the perimeter, tries to drive. It's blocked away. And a foul comes in thereafter. 16 2/10, as you see at the bottom of your screen, and John Centennial has a chance to go ahead by as many as 8 with just over 15 seconds to play.
Yeah, they didn't let that turnover fluster them. They come back on the other end, force a big turnover of their own. Joey, and chance to ultimately put it away at the line.
Parker at the line for Centennial. Still a 1-on-1 situation. His first is off. And Normal West has a fleeting chance here. They've got to hurry. 10 seconds. It's Walker. Walker tries to drive, kicks down low, and there's a finish from Nick Rediger, but that will be the final basket of Normal West's season. Centennial inbounds. They run out the clock, and they advance to the second round of the Big 12 tournament. They advanced to 6-5 overall in Big 12 play this season, and Normal West will finish at 4-7, and Centennial has a date with Peoria Notre Dame tomorrow at 4.
It's a good game. You know, it was a good finish towards the end. Normal West looked like they were going to take a lead potentially there, and then Centennial really just kind of regrouped and stuck to the game plan. But Tim Lavin and Centennial Chargers had a good momentum going into tomorrow's game with top seed Peoria Notre Dame, and a lot of good things you saw tonight out of Jack Young and Dontre Warren, Travis McAboo, and a good season for Normal West, but just came up short tonight.
Just a little bit short, and they battled hard to the final whistle. It is a 65-61 win for Centennial, and you can see the Chargers battle the Irish of Notre Dame tomorrow at 4 o'clock on ClutchSportsIL.com. John, any final thoughts as we sign off? A doubleheader for us tonight, a tripleheader tomorrow. Going to see a lot of good basketball tomorrow night. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it was, first game, Peoria High looked really, really well polished in that game defensively and offensively, and same with Centennial tonight. They got a little bit of a scare from Normal West, but really battened down the hatches and held on, and you're going to need that in close games, and especially with a team like Peoria Notre Dame you're going to face tomorrow. You're going to need every bit of offensive and defense production.
It'll be a happy bus ride home to Champaign, but when they come back tomorrow, it'll be all focus, and that's where we'll leave it for you tonight. Again, join us tomorrow, a tripleheader that starts with Centennial and Notre Dame at 4 o'clock on ClutchSportsIL.com for our entire Clutch Sports Media crew. Francisco Alonso just off to my left on our camera this evening, or on our computer, I should say. The camera is John Michael, the best in the business, of course. And Josh Schwam on our social medias all evening long. For John Camosa, my broadcast partner, I'm Joey Wright. A 65-61 win for Centennial in the opening round of the Big 12 tournament. Thank you for watching.